There's all kinds of stuff going on with this intro today. Apologies, guys. You might see mine with lip syncing as well. Anyway, welcome to Talking Points, episode number 78. This has been a regular feature. I'm going to be on my side profile just so it's not annoying for you. But today's Talking Points is, let's get up the actual talking points today. I'm so confused with what's going on at the moment, but I'm going to find everything. It is regarding this Spurs billion pound sponsorship. Finally done it. In the house, we have SUBSRCRIBE and Sean Hurl. Guys, it's been a bit of a start, but let's continue on. I'm going to start by doing this. That's it. It feels better now, doesn't it? Hey, feels a little bit better. Spurs £1 billion sponsorship. So that is in reference to our potential Google. Is it Google? We might be sponsoring our stadium.
Google or Amazon.
Google or Amazon. Well, they're talking a lot of money anyway. So I thought we'd take an opportunity to get to talk about that and obviously the latest goings on with regards to financial stuff at Spurs. It might be a bit boring for some, but where there's money involved, I don't mind talking about the subject. And if money's going to be put into the club, I don't mind talking about the subject as well. So let's start with you, Sean, because you are the man who's got all the knowledge, deep knowledge of Spurs. So Spurs have got a potential, I say, sponsorship for the stadium. At the moment, it's called Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, always been known as White Hart Lane to us. But what do you think about the Google Stadium?
Well, as you say, I mean, they can put whatever multinational company on it. It will always be White Hart Lane to me till my dying day. But yeah, it's. I don't think it's. I mean, it's obviously a step forward in terms of, you know, Todd Klein has been employed by the club to do this deal. It's taken a while. I think COVID intervened as well, didn't help, and companies were too busy concentrating on what was going to happen post-COVID. So it probably has taken a lot longer than expected. But on the face of it, it's good, but it's, you know, it still doesn't put us in the same ballpark as the oil state nations. You know, we still face, you know, 2 football clubs in our league backed by 2 leading oil nations, you know, and we'll never have the resources that those clubs have. As much as they go to deny it, and Eddie Howe was doing the same today in his in his press conference for his game today. Yeah, well, you know, it's good that we're getting money put in. It will give us national recognition. I'm sure Google will want to make sure we have a Champions League final at the stadium. Whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't get too carried away, to be honest.
Yeah, it's, as I said, I don't know enough details to really go into. On the face of it, £1 billion, $1 billion, whatever, it's a lot of money. It's not obviously going to be given as a one check. Here you go, here's that. It will be over a period of time, over X amount of years, I would imagine. So you could, I don't know what the figures be. As I said, I've not done enough research into it. I would hope that we would be on a footing with those other clubs, because we should still have financial fair play in place. You know, Manchester City, if you look at what they've done now, yes, they kind of flouted with the laws and flouted with the rules, but they've net spend this year, the lowest of all the teams in the Premiership. I know that they've done all their big spending already, but they're now trying to run it as a business. We've also seen Chelsea in recent times be banned, transfer embargo. So teams are probably less able to get away with it than in the past, but they still do. There's always ways around it. So again, how we be creative, what we're doing with this £1 billion, however it comes in, if it comes in, would have to be done in such a way. But it should mean that we'd have money to spend. Would you not agree?
Well, it should do, yeah, definitely. But we would have money to spend anyway if we continue on our current trajectory, which is qualifying for the Champions League, going well in the league, finishing in the top 4. We should still have money to spend. I just, you know, the figures that the Saudi PIF fund have is just unbelievable. You know, and in the end, resources will tell. So yeah, we should have money to spend. We're not a badly run club in terms of finances. Whether we're a well-run club in terms of football decisions, well, historically, maybe not.
Sid, what do you think of all this in terms of this deal? What it means for Spurs? Let's just play a bit of a scenario game. Let's say we get this £1 billion signed up, and it's 20 years deal, and they say it's going to be whatever that figure works out to be per year. You get that sort of money put into the club. It's not a bad thing to obviously have. People might look at it and say, "Are Spurs selling out?" No, we're not, because as I said, we're not being backed by an oil nation. It is a sponsorship. Now, when you talk about £1 billion or $1 billion, in my opinion, that's depending on how long this deal is for. That's almost flouting the laws. I don't know how much Man City got for the naming of the Etihad. I don't know how much Arsenal got for the Emirates and all those other namings rights for stadiums, Amex, etc., etc. There's quite a few of them in the Premier League. I don't know the numbers, but £1 billion sounds like a lot. What do you think this does for our status as a club, and what's your personal viewpoint on it?
Right. So the way I see it, we've got one of the best stadiums in the world. We've got football going on at the moment. We've got American football going on. The rumours are that the Tyson Fury and Wilder Mark III is almost done and dusted at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in December the 3rd, I think it is.
They've already fought 3 times.
Is it? No.
This will be number 4. This will be number 4.
Yeah, or could be number 4, but that's been apparently finalised at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So we've got everything's there in place. The only thing we haven't got at the moment is, like you said, the naming of our stadium. Now, I know both of you have picked up on this, but the actual deal is 250 million over 10 years, which is 25 million pounds a year.
Right? Oh, so where's this figure of £1 billion come from? Because that's what I've been hearing.
I have no idea. But
okay.
The figures floating around is 250 million at the moment. However, Google have offered 250 million. I mean, it's not in concrete, but that's where everything I've read, it's 250 million over 10 years, which would be 25 million pounds a year. However, I've heard now that Amazon are interested, and Amazon are offering 250 million plus for 10 years plus free next day delivery. So Daniel Levy is looking at that one, because if he wants to go and buy players in the transfer window, we're guaranteed to get them the next day, or if you buy before 12 o'clock, we'll get them on the same day. So, it could be pretty good. But as it stands, Google are favourites, but apparently Amazon have come into the equation as well. So,
okay,
you know what? It's good. It's massive. It's absolutely huge for us, because, as Sean says, and many people say, it still will be White Hart Lane. No matter what you call it, it will be White Hart Lane, no matter what. It's Google Stadium or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see how many fans of certain clubs will no longer start using Google, because every time they're going to use Google, it's going to pay Tottenham. And certain clubs will hate that, won't they? So I'm quite interested in this, because a lot of things people are saying as well is, does that mean we get Google on the shirt? I don't think we will, because the shirt sponsors AIA. That is completely different to the stadium sponsorship. So I think somebody else put that on Twitter as well. And I said to them, no, you won't get Google on the top, because people are already coming out with these Spurs tops with Google. And I went, it ain't going to happen, because the stadium sponsorship deal, the shirt sponsorship deal, the sleeve sponsorship deal, it's all different. So Google will be the stadium, end of. But I think that it'll be massive for the club, absolutely massive in terms of what you're saying.
It's not as massive as I first thought, though, Sid. Sorry to interrupt you. It's not as massive as I first thought now. 10 years, 25 mil a year, 250. In the grand scheme of things, and now we're talking this 25 mil a year, extra money. I think Man United are getting that from TeamViewer or something like that. I can't remember the exact figures. But there's sponsors that will come in and pay that. Now, it might not be over a longer period of time, 10 years, but it might. I think that's not enough. If I'm honest with you, that's why I was kind of like looking at 500 mil plus for the naming of the stadium, because you can imagine the global advertisement that Google have. Now I know they don't need to be advertised, but one of the best, probably the best stadium in the world, you know, in the heart of London, all these concerts coming through, Google will make a packet out of it. You know, they will make a lot of money out of it. So I think we need to up the ante. If Amazon come in and say, we'll give you 350, I'd start bidding more personally if it was me, but I'm not in charge of it. I don't know. What's people's thoughts on that? Is 25 million a year over 10 years enough?
Well, I don't think it is. And I think what you're saying is correct. If Amazon come in, then it's going to have to be a bidding war, because let me just read something to you. Real Madrid and Emirates have renewed their long-term partnership that will run until 2025-2026 season in a contract worth 70 million euros a year. Right? So if they're getting a 70 million a year from Emirates, Google are massive compared to Emirates. So why are we only getting 25 million a year?
Because they'll try and do a deal. They'll try not to spend as much money and get the best that they can. That's business. And I would, if I was Google, I'd do exactly the same. When we're talking companies like Google, Amazon, I'd even entice Apple to get into the market. That's $2 trillion company. You know, these people have got money that they need to get rid of. In terms of, when I say get rid of, from a financial perspective, they need to do something to make the books look a bit better so they don't all pay it to the tax man. So what better way, in my opinion, than spending it on Spurs? But I don't think £25 million a year over 10 years is enough. Sean, what's the sort of figure realistically that you? I know we're talking hypotheticals here because nothing's actually happened, but do you think 25 million a year? Someone's put that comment here. You know, that's one Basuma a year. We need more than one Basuma a year if we're going to contend with Man City and the rest, don't we?
We do, yeah. I mean, you know, the Saudi PIF fund has access of 400 billion. Get that, you know, but get your head around that. There's 400 billion at their command. Obviously, they need to stay within financial fair play, but you know, 25 million in a season over 10 years. I mean, the highest, to be fair, the highest stadium deal was done for the Los Angeles Rams, and that was $31 million per year for 10 years. So it's not you know, in terms of sports stadiums deal, it's probably up there. Okay, but you know, let's not get carried away that we can you know, that we're going to really compete. It will do more for Google or Amazon or whoever wins this battle than it will do necessarily for us. So do we think then this sort of deals that are coming out, because I always think there's always timing with these things, that things don't just come out for no good reason. There's always reasons behind it, in my opinion. So is this a kind of like an enticement to show, because there's a lot of talk going on about Antonio Conte, the pressure on him again. He's signing this deal. He's signing this deal. He's not committing to anything. He's saying, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy here. Don't need to sign anything. Don't you worry about it. Is this a kind of way where Spurs, and I think Spurs could probably be behind this, putting stuff out into the media, showing Antonio Conte, listen, we're looking to get deals with the likes of Google. That might not be the last one. We might need to, I don't know, you know, we've got a big term contract with Nike. These are the sort of things that will be looked at by any potential player, any potential manager, anybody really from associated with the club, and think, yeah, Spurs are on this. Obviously, on the playing side of things, we need to do well as well. But could this be inside information put to the outside to kind of entice Mr. Conte?
I don't think so. I think what happens with Conte is going to happen with Conte. Whether, I don't think any sponsorship, stadium sponsorship deal, shirt sponsorship deal, whatever deal is going to make a decision or make Conte make a decision whether he stays at Spurs. Good thing about today, I've heard as well, is Pochettino's now favourite for Juventus job, because apparently they're not getting anywhere with Conte at Spurs. So that could be a nice little thing for Spurs in the terms of Conte maybe staying at Spurs. But I don't think the stadium sponsorship or anything like that is going to make any difference whatsoever whether Conte stays or goes. That's purely down to Conte and whether he gets the promises he's been told and whether he sees where his future for Spurs and Daniel Levy's future for Spurs, if they both are simultaneous, if they're both similar and on the same wavelength and on the same pathway, then what's going on in the background, I don't think makes a difference to Conte whatsoever.
We was all at the game at the weekend. One of the things I noticed about Spurs, and it's not a new thing, and it's probably all encompassing in case with the stuff that's going on in the economy now, but it's bloody expensive day out at Spurs. To buy anything down there, it's bloody expensive. Food, expensive, drinks. You if you're traveling from anywhere other than round the corner from the stadium, it's gonna cost you. Parking. They're charging 30 quid to go and park in some school or whatever it is they're just trying to do. You know, people are making money out of this, a lot of money. We as fans, though, I think if I'm seeing the ticket prices going up, our ticket prices are not cheap. I would expect then the club, if we're getting these sort of sponsorship, to be looking at, capping prices, capping the sort of like the ticket prices. Looking at the Champions League game next week, look at 95 quid for a ticket, 80 quid for a ticket, 70 odd quid for a ticket. Surely that the way we're going now, it's going to be unaffordable to anybody really, apart from the super rich. Sean, do we think that when we see these big deals coming in, that the club should take some sort of responsibility as well to think about the fans? Because I don't think they think enough about the fans all the time in this situation.
Well, at the minute, they've got a massive waiting list, haven't they? So they don't really, it's not really of primary importance to them. It'll only become primary importance when people stop being able to afford and pick and choose and go to their games, I mean, I was at Eintracht on Wednesday night and there was a massive bank at the top tier of the West Stand, which was empty. About 7,000 tickets weren't sold for what was probably the prime Champions League game at home, because they obviously Eintracht were the first seeds in our group. So there is warnings out there. The shenanigans that are going on in Parliament at the moment, with people looking at their fuel bills. Football is going to become a very difficult thing to justify when folks are shivering in their homes this winter. So I think that they do need to look at their ticketing. They've always needed to look at their ticketing, but Spurs and Arsenal seem to think that they are, they can charge what they want, and I don't think that it will wear in the short term. Certainly.
Sorry, go on, Sean. Finish off. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say they should be looking at their ticket prices, but the trust always make these points to them in their regular meetings, but the club does just seem to be hell bent on extracting as much as they can.
But
Sid, yeah, because I know this is something that's quite close to your heart. We've had a couple of discussions about it, and you know what I mean. When I got my ticket for next week's game against Sport, which is an important game, don't forget, don't get me wrong. I understand all of that. I understand, but we again, as we're all season ticket holders, I'm not expecting special treatment, but surely there can be better concessions towards this. I'm looking at when we've got such big revenues coming into this club now. We've made a lot of money. I know that a lot of money goes out and all the rest of it. We have to look at the books overall. But I look at that bloody club shop. You have to queue to get in at bloody all times. Unless you get there 3 hours early, you're queuing to get in that shop. You're queuing to buy anything inside, food-wise, drink-wise. They're making money hand over fist. You're paying upwards of 70, 80, 90 quid, £100 on a match day for tickets. Where is this going to end?
You know what, Sam? Like you said, I've always got something to say about this. Now, what you're saying, Sean, about last week, 7,000 fans not being there, right? Do you know, not last season, the season before, do you remember they done a package for Champions League for season ticket holders? You buy a package, it was like 100 quid for 3 games. Yeah. And they sold them out because everybody thought that's a great price, great bargain. You know, we'll buy them. Guaranteed sellout for all 3 games at home, full capacity, right? Job done. But this time round, he's decided to charge everyone, like Sam said, £95, £75, stupid prices, right? That even that £95, there's not even a concession for children. So if you want to take a kid, you've got to pay £95, right? Now, my answer to what you said, Sean, about last week was give season ticket holders the option of buying the tickets, right? But giving them a concession price. I'm not saying giving them for free, give them for less than what we've got them. That way, season ticket holders have the option first, because there's quite a lot of season ticket holders, to buy their own seats or wherever they want to sit at that price. Then you sell the tickets to the members and then the non-members, rather than having 7,000 fans on tickets not sold because nobody could afford it. For me, 7,000 tickets at £10, 70 grand, right? Or nothing. I'd take that 70 grand. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's money coming into the ground. But
I mean, sitting on last week, my friend was trying to transfer a ticket which had gone to a One-Hotspur member to another One-Hotspur member.
Yeah.
Literally the day before the game, and he couldn't do it. And he asked Spurs why not, and they said because it's within 7 days of the kickoff. You know what I mean?
Nonsense.
And then they wouldn't refund him for the ticket.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Us and Arsenal, Chelsea, probably most expensive, but year in year out we get shafted, right? And it's just ridiculous. And you know, I know Arsenal do it, Man City have done it, and I said this the other day. City were charging £25 and £5 for I think last week's game or next week's game. Yeah. If somebody gave me the option, if I'm a neutral fan that's just come to this country or in general live in this country and I'm a neutral football fan, and somebody said to me, you can go and watch Haaland and De Bruyne and the not a Champions League winners, FA Cup winners, and the champions of England for £25, or you can go and watch Spurs, Harry Kane and Son for £95. Where am I going? I'm going to the Etihad because £25. You know what I mean? But you know,
and this is why I'm trying to combine the topic we're talking about with this. People might think, why is it related? It is related because the club they've got a lot of money. Club and I look at the sheikhs and as much as we can malign them and say all of this about the oil money, they've looked after that area. They've really put some money into in and around Manchester and Moss Side and all that sort of area. And as you were saying as well, the tickets are reasonable. I know it's to do with the area, and London's got the additional expense. But what I would hope the club would think about doing is little things like that, little concessions. If you're going to get a big sponsor that's going to sponsor you for 20 years on a stadium, okay, as a community club, because that's what you have to think. Around that area needs a lot of development. It's been developed slightly, but it needs a lot more work around Tottenham. A lot more work. They need to do things like that. They also need to maybe encourage more kids to come in. And how can you do that? Concessions. You don't charge a kid £95 to watch a match.
Exactly.
That don't make any sense to me.
No.
You can't bring I'm having to tell my kid to go and work if that's the case. You need to go and get yourself a job. But these are the things I'm not sure that get thought about enough, and somebody needs to do that within the club. But I'm sure they do, but maybe it's a case of making money is more important than you know. We haven't got the success. If we had the success of a Liverpool or a Manchester United or even Chelsea in recent times, you could maybe understand a little bit more tax on these things. Hence the reason why Real Madrid, Barcelona get away with it in Spain. But we're not quite at that level. We're a very well supported team and we've got a lot of history to us. But in recent times, our winning, our silverware hasn't matched what we've now got. But yet we're paying tickets and prices for things like we're Champions League winners 4 times out of the last 5 years.
But the problem is, Sam, like you just nailed it on the head. People are paying it. So as long as there's people out there willing to pay it, then they're not going to change their philosophy. They're not going to change their ways because there's always someone out there. If I don't go, if you don't go, Sean, if you don't go, Sam, there's plenty of other people that will go instead and pay that price because They just going up every now and then. They're not like us that go week in, week out. These will be the people that are waiting in the background for a ticket to pop up. And as soon as it pops up, they might only get the opportunity once a season or twice a season. They're going to snap it, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. No, and you know, the proof of the pudding is like Saturday night with Everton game, 61,000.
Yeah.
You know, kickoff was good for most people.
Exactly.
It was, you know, place was absolutely mobbed, you know. So
that's it.
It's something that's kind of, you know, I think needs to be talked about a little bit more. Because I know there's a lot of people with ENIC out. There's a lot of ENIC out still, but again, that maybe is slightly calmed a little bit because we are doing relatively well at the moment. It doesn't take a lot, though. It doesn't take a lot for things to get back onto, well, the club's doing this and the club's doing, and these are the sort of things when you're looking at the price and you don't have concessions for your kids and you're paying this amount of money when you go to bloody buy 4 nuggets and they cost you £9. Do you know what I mean? That's when you're thinking to yourself, hold on a minute. We're not Man City here. We're not, and I love my club. Don't get me wrong, I love my club. But at the end of the day, things aren't as they have been in the past. We're facing probably one of the biggest financial crises that we're gonna in our lifetimes anyway. And this is an outlet for a lot of people. Football is a massive outlet. We saw that through COVID. We're seeing that now, but you can't price people out of it.
No. And David Clark's comments, Sam, third from the bottom, that is spot on. Totally agree with him. Shall I put it up?
This one?
Yeah, that is spot on. Because look, their season tickets are about 150 quid or 200 quid, aren't they? Or something looking at. But he's spot on there. If you lived in London, you can get a cheap Ryanair flight to Germany and watch Bayern Munich for the price that you probably pay for Spurs. 100% correct.
You know, my friend Tom came down to the game there on Saturday.
Yeah.
He drove down, so it wasn't cheap, but he reckons the weekend's gonna cost him an equivalent of 400 quid.
There you go.
400 quid to come down from Glasgow
to watch
hotel,
Spurs.
and a match ticket. You know, it's
mad.
It's not a cheap thing to do, and you know there is a case of killing, killing the hen that lays the golden egg at some time, and it may be that they need to think about it sooner rather than later. Sam, I think you're right.
Yeah.
When you're hearing these sort of deals, and this always prompts me to think about these things. When you're hearing big deals like that, and Spurs won't be short of sponsors. Don't get me wrong. I know that there's a big deal with Nike that we've got. The IA one's going to be a big deal. We've got Cinch in there. We've got Get Here. There's loads of people wanting to come and give Spurs money. There has to be some of that element that's kind of like, as a community, let's give back to the community. Develop around the area a bit more. Get people, get the kids in there. Make it such that you might have a Cat D game or special where you just do a one-off. You know what, we have these one-offs, you see Amazon do them, these one-offs where it's like Prime Day or whatever it is, you can 50%, whatever it is.
That could happen, Sam.
There should be.
If it becomes the Amazon Stadium, maybe we'll get that. Yeah. We'll have a Black Friday.
Yeah.
You get Black Friday and Prime Days. That would be fantastic. No, it's true though. It's true. We have to look at the bigger picture in these things. And money rules the world, as they say. But not everybody can be ruled by money. Not everybody has the ability to spend some of them. Tom's right. I was lucky enough that I was already in London that day, but my hotel would have cost me 100 quid that night. To drive from where I was to get to the game, if I wanted to get a train, it would probably cost me 20 odd quid. To get on the underground would have cost another 10 quid. Then, as I said, get food. You're not getting much change out of 20 quid. Buy a couple of beers, no change out of a tenner for that. You think about all of that. You put that all together. If you don't do well, you're 200 quid down before you've even done anything. So it's madness. It is madness. Let's have a look at a few of these comments and see what's going on. I might have already put a few of them up. FFP isn't worth the paper it's written on. City told the Premier League and UEFA they would just tie their lawyers up for years, which cost millions. And they have plenty
100% Mojo. 100%.
Yeah.
City threatened UEFA and the FA about financial fair play with lawyers. And, they can afford the best lawyers. And that's why it isn't worth the money it's written on, to be honest.
Fans are paying the price on the massive stadium overspend. to 1.2 billion on loan money. Here's another comment. That's another comment. Lloyd's saying here, I live in Birmingham. By the time I've travelled to the ground and bought food, drink, and maybe something from the shop, you're looking at £200. That's what I said, Lloyd. That's what I said. Exactly that. You know what I mean? It's £200 before you've even thought about, oh, we've had a good game today. And when you don't have a good game and you come back off, you're not really thinking, that was money well spent on it. So again, these are the things that just makes it a bit of a difference. I just think there are little things you could do. You know, you could still do, it's how you sell it. You know, you could still have the overall cost being what it is for the season tickets, but you could do, as we've talked about, right, let's have a concession day where you could bring friends and family in for X amount of money. That would encourage people to buy the tickets anyway, sell them out. But season ticket holders would get preference, possibly. You could also look at things like, family tickets. Yeah, that's one thing that's not as much. It used to be a lot of that going around back in the day. It's not so anymore because you look at the costs as you talked about, and it's not there.
They talk all about getting these kids in, getting youngsters into the club. Let's do this, let's do that. But they never think about, oh, you know what? To get them in, let's do a family ticket or let's do something. But no, let them pay £95 to sit in the East Stand. Yeah, we'll do that.
I remember, and this is going back a little bit now, when I will say this on camera. I've been to QPR's ground a couple of times and watched a few games. They used to do kid for a quid. Yes. Kid for a quid down there, or quid for a kid, whatever it is. Maybe not wrong way around. But do you know what I mean? Just little things like that. And it used to be mad. It used to be mad because all the kids were excited. People hadn't maybe been to football matches before were going. You know, it's a day out with your mates, and it can be done. You know, I really think things like that could be done, particularly if we're talking about the sort of money that, you know, Spurs are talking about. Another comment here from Dino. Lewis and Levy have been driven for football success. It's all financial. They would sell for the maximum price if possible. Do you think the club's looking to be sold anytime soon, Sean? Would you say so? Or if the price is right? On mute, mate. You're on mute.
Apologies. I don't think Levy wants to leave without having won the trophies. I do feel he's a bit more committed to it than Lewis. And it'll be interesting what the readjustment of the Lewis estate is gonna mean in terms of Levy's position. But I'm sure he wants the football club to be successful. But it's taken him a while to realise that, a man with a degree in land economy doesn't know how to run a football club, and that's why he needed PRTv and co to at least getting us attracting players that we can use.
Daniel Levy's the money man. He knows about the business. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just think they just need to get the right teams. They need to have people in. They have got market. I know they've got all these teams, but they just need to have a bit of a look at themselves and think, how can we be a little bit different to the rest of these London clubs? How can we be a bit different? How can we attract more than just the Spurs fans? How can we attract people who, because it's the same thing with boxing, when there's a massive fight, you get casual people just kind of talking about Tyson versus AJ and stuff like that. But if it's nothing, they're not involved. We could do the same for us. We could have these things and people could talk about Spurs, and then that puts the name up. We need to do this. We've got such a stadium and ground and infrastructure that just needs to be marketed better potentially.
I was going to say, in regards to what you were saying about him selling and that, at the moment, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe they're looking at Bradley Walsh hosting Price is Right. But they're just waiting. They're just waiting to confirm. And now, if Amazon get the deal for Spurs Stadium, then obviously Jeremy Clarkson is going to be the host, isn't he? Because he left BBC to go Amazon. So you imagine Jeremy Clarkson hosting the Price is Right. Because the games that they play on that game show, you've got cliffhanger, because there's always cliffhangers with Spurs, isn't it? Are they going to go to the top four? Are they going to drop down the bottom? Then you got the Price is Right, where you got to name a price for the player, which Daniel Levy never does, so he always gets it wrong. So it's ideal format. Amazon Prime and Jeremy Clark, Price is Right, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. It'd be brilliant.
Well, there'll be all those kind of means. If we do get sponsored by one of them, Google or Amazon Prime, there'll be all kinds of memes and jokes coming out about Spurs.
Well, they've already started with Google, haven't they? Search history, none. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I've seen that one already. They were saying searching for trophies, can't find it or whatever. Come on, people, you got to do better than that, Arsenal fans. I'm sure that's been started by them lot. No, it's a good chat, and it's one that probably we could do again. If let's say we get a deal done, then we might have to revisit and talk about what happens with this money. Ultimately, we want it to go into the playing staff, but we want it to also go back to the fans as well. We pay all this money to effect. If we don't go, there's no club. There is no football. There is no Tottenham Hotspur. It is the fans, and sometimes I think this does get lost a little bit in the grand scheme of when the Premier League is paying teams to go down and still keeping them parachute money and all the rest of it. Money is just being thrown at this, and it gets lost. And you go down into the Championship and League One, and you can see what the effects of money has when you haven't got it. You know, clubs are getting out of existence. We are in a privileged position as Spurs fans. A lot of teams aren't in this position. A lot of teams will be thinking £25 million will keep our club going for life. You know, we're talking about 1 year. So we have to look at the context and the bigger picture in these things as well. Final thoughts then on that, guys. Sean, what's your final thoughts on the subject? And
well, you welcome any money coming into Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Between you and me and Sid, the people that concern us are the guys that wear the white shirts on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday or whatever it is, and the guy that's coaching them. That's, to be honest, that's all we care about, you know. But we do have to take cognizance that, you know, it doesn't happen without money. But to be honest, I just want the best players and the best coach in charge of those players. And currently, we've got the best coach. You know, the squad. Jury's out. Jury's out.
We'll see. It's on some of them. I'd say there's some of them that are definitely worth being in the jury, but the jury may be out on a couple of them. As this comment here, I like this. Watch Richie's Premier League 7-minute video. Surprised he has a house, hotel for cancer patients in Brazil and supports 100 families. Quite a few of these footballers do that, particularly the ones that have come from like South America, Africa, right? Because obviously,
Sadio Mane is unbelievable.
Massive.
He built the whole town, the hospital, and everything. Yeah,
hospital, everything, and he's gonna go. We built this city.
But that's what I'm saying. Players who were earning, you know, if I was
good,
had the even close to earning 200 grand a week, 300 grand, and you know, there's some extortion. We're talking Mbappe's. He's what is he close to £1 million a week or whatever his deal was? Something stupid. When you're getting that sort of money, I would expect players to give back. I would expect players to go into the communities. So I can't look. I know they do community stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, and before people start, Spurs do all the work in the community. Yes, they do, but they also charge £95 for kids to go and watch a Champions League game, which I don't think's right. So there's got to be a balance somewhere. Sid, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Do you know what? Whatever happens will happen. But what I want to see is whichever deal is done. I want to see Daniel Levy outside the stadium with his jacket on, Harry Enfield glasses on, going, loads of money, loads of money. But you never know.
You never know. Well, guys, we are going to reconvene for those watching. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. We want you to come back and join us within about 17, 18 minutes time for our preview show for the game Manchester United versus Tottenham, which is important tomorrow for us. So we'll get back into real football talk in 50 minutes time. So join us for that. Look out for the reaction show tomorrow, midweek games tomorrow and today, as well as a couple of games on today, games on tomorrow and on Thursday. And funny enough, what on Amazon Prime. So that's funny enough. So yeah, watch out for that. So come and join us back. You'll find us back on this channel. Guys, Sean, Sid, thank you very much. Apologies again for the technical difficulties. I'm trying to do the timer and my thing's cutting out, so I don't know the time is actually ended and then we're on screen. So it's like, well, it is what it is. We've done this plenty of times. We're not embarrassed to show our faces. Well, my face is only not being shown because my lips are not moving at the same time as my voice that's coming out. So it is what it is. enough rambling. That is done. We'll see you very soon. Sean said, see you guys soon. And I'm trying to find the music, which is why I'm talking at the same time. It's almost there. Where is it? Who's been moving all this stuff in here? Hey, there's loads of stuff that's been moved around. I'm gonna have to kind of like put this back in order here.
Yes.
I want my talking points music. I can't find it. I'm getting frustrated. That's because I'm not in the right bloody area. See, that's what. Oh, green.
Have you got
Anyway, I've got it. Time to go. We're off. Bye.